funny watching the religious trying desperately to cling to their imaginary friends, often to the exclusion of reality. Why worry about doing anything useful when you can spend time with your magical friend in the sky? Why? Because what you're doing is utterly insane. That's why. I've been doing some really huge videos lately, so I thought it was about time to take it easy. Here's a short video by Gilmour, yet another car theist, who insists that we need to hold on to Jesus and apparently reject reality along the way, because reality is scary and his imaginary friend means more to him than having any rational credibility. I trust no one is surprised. So let's go watch.
It was Robert Murray McShane who said, "A calm hour with God is worth a lifetime with any man."
Only if you're delusional. But realistically, it doesn't matter what a 19th century preacher had to say. This is just repeating something that you agree with for the sake of the emotional comfort it provides. It's why I don't usually run around quoting people for no reason. It just doesn't matter. Sure, if someone is trying to defame someone else, I'll provide quotes that show that the original claim was false, or if in a historical context, we need to show what the actual attitudes were of the day, but otherwise, it doesn't really matter what someone has to say. It only matters what can be objectively proven. And nothing with regards to religion can be.
Psalm 84 says, "Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere."
So what? Why do we care about what it says in your silly book of mythology? All of this really comes down to argument by assertion or argument by quotation. It is not an actual argument. It's just a bald rationalization that these things that appeal to you on an emotional level have to be true because you happen to like them. This seems to be far too common among the religious, if you notice. Not just the religious, but the overly emotional. The people who aren't really concerned with reality, they just want to be happy, no matter how absurd their beliefs actually are. I'm not sure what's really wrong with them.
There is something that happens in spending attentive time with God that nothing else can do for you on the inside. Nothing else can fulfill you like Him. And it is in taking this time to be with Him that He's able to be Himself in you and through you.
But none of that actually means anything. Just substitute your childhood imaginary friend for God, and that sentence doesn't change. How is claiming to spend time with an imaginary friend that cannot be objectively demonstrated is real any different than claiming to spend time with the ghost of Robert Louis Stevenson? I'm going to spend time with this thing that I can't prove is real because feels. And you wonder why people who aren't part of your cult look at you funny. There is something significantly wrong going on in the heads of the religiously delusional.
I want to encourage you today. Hold on to Jesus. Stay close to Him. Move out of the way whatever is unnecessary and give extra time to the Lord.
No, you've got it backwards. What you need to be holding on to is your sanity. You need to be clinging to reality. Because seriously, this guy has a tenuous grasp at best. He's hardly alone, of course, because reality is terrifying to most theists. They can't handle the fact that reality doesn't care about them. Reality doesn't care if they're happy or sad. It doesn't care if they're dead or alive. It just is. And that's something that adults, rational, intelligent, critically minded adults need to come to grips with. It doesn't matter how you feel. It matters what actually is. There is no evidence for your imaginary friend whatsoever. There is tons of evidence for reality. It's hard to be more irrational than to be religious. You guys really need to knock it off.
It will keep you, it will protect you, because it will be entering into his person, where he can be all that he has promised to be for you.
That sounds disturbing. I have no interest in entering into Jesus' person. That sounds like a bizarre sexual kink. Maybe that's where the Catholic clergy gets the idea. I don't know. They just want to be entering into other things that they really have no business being in. That actually explains a lot, now that I think about it.
I believe there's a lot of unnecessaries that people go through in their lives and in their minds and in their hearts, simply because Jesus has been crowded out.
Oh, you mean things like getting a job, being a responsible citizen, doing things like eating and helping others, because it's the supposed job of your imaginary father figure in the sky. Because it doesn't take long to find people who actually believe that. Don't do anything because God will provide. Don't take your kids to the doctor because God will heal them. Wait, what? That doesn't work? It just ends up with dead kids? Yeah, you don't say. If you don't get out there and get a job and earn a living, you end up living on the street begging for food. Yeah, color me shocked. God doesn't actually provide anything tangible. It's just a dopamine hit in the brain that ultimately means nothing. Because this whole thing is utterly asinine.
1 hour with God is worth a lifetime with any man.
It still doesn't get you anywhere. I'm sure that 1 hour with God didn't get you that car, Eric. Only living in the real world does. But, of course, Eric Gilmour makes his money shilling religion to the gullible. So maybe he's just doing both at the same time. It's funny how many of these people spend their time telling the congregation that God is all they need, then passing around the collection plate, isn't it? I guess God isn't all they need, huh? All these people are doing is talking to themselves for emotional comfort and acting like they've done anything meaningful. They aren't actually getting anywhere. They aren't actually doing anything. It's a giant circle jerk of delusional people pretending that they're getting something done when in reality they're just wasting their time. Now, it is their time to waste, granted. But it's funny how many of these people also have their hands out for money because all of the time that they waste with their imaginary friend gets in the way of actually earning a living. I mean, just look at the ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel. It's their job to talk to God full time. I'd argue that they're just wasting their lives and making things more difficult on everyone around them. Too bad the religious just don't care. That's not a whole lot different than the clergy class, doing a useless job and expecting to be compensated for it. Yeah, what they really are? They're leeches on society. Maybe you ought to stop wasting your time on this imaginary Jesus guy and try adopting a realistic view of reality. Go do something worthwhile with your life. Be useful. Stop making a fool of yourself. By telling people to spend time with God, you're not helping anyone but yourself.
Boom, dicky, 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 boom. bum.